Karl-Anthony Towns back in Minnesota, warmly received, and what a game. 32 points, 20 rebounds. First Knicks since Bob McAdoo in 1978 to have at least 20 points and at least 20 rebounds in back-to-back games. Towns went 10 of 12 from the floor, and Mikal Bridges had 29, his second highest point total as a Knick. And the Knicks roll over Minnesota 133-107. Great to have you with us, everyone, from our Delta MSG studios. Bill Pito, along with Alan Hahn and Wally Zerbiak. If you're Karl-Anthony Towns, Alan, you could not have scripted this any better. If you're the Knicks overall, you could not have scripted this game any better.
That second quarter was an amazing quarter to watch on so many different levels with Karl-Anthony Towns and what he did with the 19 points and what the Knicks did with the ball movement. This Minnesota team thought they had their defense figured out. They were a tough defensive team. They weren't giving up 90 points, let alone 100 points in a game in the first 7 games of this month. But Wally, the way Towns shot the basketball, the way the Knicks moved the basketball, that when they play like that, that's when you start thinking that they've got something special going here with this team and that the sky's the limit for what they can be.
No question. They did it against a really good team that's playing great basketball. Rudy Gobert has been Defensive Player of the Year, and he can't guard Karl-Anthony Towns. He just flat out cannot guard him. That is a matchup. That is a nightmare for him. This is why the Knicks went and acquired Karl-Anthony Towns. He's that hard to defend. He's that hard to prepare and scout, and he brings this team to a new dimension. 39 assists. The ball is moving. The game is being played the right way. There's no ball hogging. There's no over dribbling. There's no turning the ball over when you should be passing it to your teammate who's open. Everyone plays the right way on this team. Everyone eats. Everyone shares. And it is fun to watch this team play when they're playing at a high level.
39 assists you mentioned for the Knicks, second most in the game this year. Julius Randle against his former team had 15 in the first quarter but finished with 24. Dante DiVincenzo, 15. No Josh Hart tonight, away from the team because of personal reasons. Precious Achiuwa got a start and went for a double-double, but the headline, Wally, Karl-Anthony Towns. How about the fact, his efficiency? I mentioned 10 of 12 from the floor, 5 of 5 from downtown.
He doesn't need to take volume shots, and he was locked in from deep. He hit those first couple threes from the top of the key, and Rudy Gobert wants no business of going out there to guard him, and he just continued to just shoot with confidence. I mean, that love from that Timberwolves crowd, I'm telling you, I played there for 7 years. That crowd is awesome. Timberwolves fans are a joy to play for. They're a classy bunch of people that cheer for teams in Minnesota, great sports teams all over the place. So Karl-Anthony Towns had a big-time mixed emotions, but he handled them well. I love what Jamal Crawford said. This is a whirlwind night for him, but to just get into game mode and focus on what you need to do, and that is win a basketball game. That is a credit to his professionalism and to his skill level. You know, this is why he was the #1 pick in the draft. This is why he's an All-NBA player and a 4-time All-Star, because he is a really, really skilled basketball player, and he showed it tonight. Those numbers are unbelievable.
The numbers here tell you, I mean, again, 5 for 5 from 3. He's in the top 10 in three-point shooting, not just for big men,
32 on 12 shots
in the league. And
on
it's
12
just the
shots.
efficiency, the double-doubles. Bill already told you about the 20. And by the way, you go the last 3 games, he's averaging over 20 rebounds a game in 3 games. So he's really, putting together numbers that are starting to, as we get now deeper into the season, you got to be in the conversation for one of the 5 guys you'll say is an MVP candidate, right? Like, absolutely, the way he's been playing. But while you were talking about him and his accolades, when you're just watching those clips there, what you saw was he was decisive. The quick decision, everything he did was he caught the ball. He already knew what he wanted to do, and he did it, like, to me, with, like Jamal was talking about to him, the ease that he played with. And that's not easy, as Wally's talked about. When you come home to a place like that and the emotions are flowing. He had 3 turnovers in the first quarter. It looked like he was just trying to get himself situated. But once that second quarter came around, he got his minutes. He came back into the game after having a rest on the bench. He was a different player, and he was an unstoppable player.
Yeah, it was impressive. And, Randall got going in the first quarter.
Yeah, he got started early.
Looked like he was a man on a mission early on in that game.
Until OG started guarding him.
Right.
And things suddenly changed.
And then the game flipped when Deuce McBride got in the game, Campaign got in the game. Deuce was a plus 26 at halftime. So when he got in the game, that game completely changed. Guys started knocking down shots. And let's not forget, Mikal Bridges, silent 29. This guy gets it done. You don't even notice him barely.
You have a silent 29.
Yeah, exactly. But he figures out a way to do it. I'm telling you, he's getting really comfortable in the New York Knicks uniform, too. He's playing big minutes.
And when the Knicks get rolling, guys, that's second quarter.
Yep.
And you've alluded to the fact they won the second quarter while they 41-18. And when Brunson was resting, they outscored Minnesota 27-5. The Knicks scored 133 points, and we're going to take a look at the second quarter. And Brunson only had to score 14.
I know, and it's a lot of it starts with the defense. When this team gets stops, you can see it fuels their offense. Because when you're such a good offensive team and such a good shooting team, which the Knicks are, they're pretty much almost 50, 40, 82 as a team.
Right.
Then the defense knows, oh boy, when these guys start getting going offensively, we can't match them shot for shot. And the Timberwolves just started to bog down in their offense, started to lay in bricks. You know, this is not a game for Rudy Gobert. It's tough to keep him out on the floor when the Knicks have all those scorers and shooters out there. I mean, he was non-existent in that first half. He had 0 points, 3 rebounds. The Knicks just continued to pour in the threes from all over the place, Allen. It was fun to watch. But I like what you said. Nobody holds the ball.
Yep.
Karl-Anthony Towns, he makes the simple basketball play. He just reads and reacts.
Yeah, and you look at the game summary here. And how about, the third quarter, which is really where they took control of the game. The Knicks had 12 assists on 12 made field goals. And that's exactly what you're looking for. It's
exactly
perfect.
What
so
you're looking for.
They really found something here. Now this helps. They had that break in the schedule, only one game in a 7-game span. They come back. They definitely look like a fresh team. And also something to keep in mind too is that they got to take a look in practice at Precious Achiuwa with Karl-Anthony Towns, and that is something that they had to use in the starting lineup tonight with the absence of Josh Hart. And I'll tell you what, Wally, it does make you think. They were a bigger front line.
Yes.
And Achiuwa seemed pretty comfortable playing there, and it's probably something they're going to want to look at again.
There are some positives that come out of it. Obviously, Josh Hart is the heart and soul of this team, so he's going to be out there on the floor a lot. But when Achiuwa plays the 4, that's his comfortable position.
Yep.
Then you have a guy that can do a little bit of the dirty work to help out Towns, where Towns doesn't have to be the major rebounder all the time. You got another big-time rebounder at the 4 spot. And what is most important is it moves Anunoby to his comfortable position, which is the 3. When you can just let him use his defensive instincts and skills and just think defense and not have to bang and close out the possession with a rebound also at the 4 spot, that's a lot to do when you have to defend the wings and then come back and help rebound. I think there's a little bit of something that's going to come out of this because Achiuwa at the 4 fits that starting lineup perfectly.
It gives them options, Bill.
Achiuwa had 13 points and 10 rebounds, and we have seen when he gets minutes, he had 27 minutes, he often puts up very, very impressive numbers.
And he's got size. At the 4, he's a legit 4.
6'8", right.
He's 6'8". He brings a little bit of rim protection. You put him alongside Karl-Anthony Towns, then you have 2 legitimate size guys at the 5 and the 4 position. And Tom Thibodeau likes size. Knicks out-rebounded this team by 20.
Yep.
They dominated them on the boards. And then you have a huge 3 in Anunoby, a huge 2 in Bridges. I mean, you have a big team and a long team at every position when Achiuwa is starting at the 4.
And you have a team that not only can play big, but also made 23 pointers in this game.
Yeah.
And that's something we talked about pregame.
Yeah.
That the Timberwolves have been great at closing out threes, not giving you threes.
That's right. You
and the
said
Knicks
that.
obliterated that by making 20. It was because it's what they've been doing.
They were only giving up like 10 a game.
Under 11 a game in the month of December. They were being real stingy. And teams were shooting under 30%. But the Knicks were getting that shot. They were knocking it down, and it was spreading out that defense. And the Knicks are now 15-3 when they make at least 12 threes in a game. So it just shows you how important that shot is to this offense.
You look at this run now, and Mike Breen mentioned it before we came on. The Knicks are now 12-4 in the last 16. And you take away the loss to Detroit and the loss to Atlanta, and maybe it's 14-14.
You can't take those away because you gotta learn from them. No question about that.
All right, Monica McNutt on the radio call on ESPN New York now joins us from Minnesota. Monica, what'd you think tonight? What? What's
the
wrong?
Studio. Y'all look fantastic.
Yeah.
You like this, right?
Y'all look really good. Now, next time y'all need to warn me that I'm going to be in a giant-sized screen so I can make sure I'm ready because it's humongous. But the studio looks great. I just want to chime in with that.
Right here, maybe right here.
Making these guys look good. Shout out to our great crew.
Yes.
They've been working 24/7 for
weeks.
weeks.
You better keep it tight over there in this new studio.
The lighting was great. But yes, Monica, when you first came up on that panel, it was a little jarring. We were like,
when I saw it on Twitter, on X, I was like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. That's a large picture of me. Okay, so our terrific statistician working up beside us, Mike Greenbaum, gave me a couple of notes, guys, that I didn't notice. And if you said these already, great. If not, I'm going to reiterate them. Karl-Anthony Towns tonight. 32 points on 12 shots. Hello, in terms of efficiency. Incredible. And then on the rebounding front, obviously he has his 30-20 game, 20 rebounds. The Wolves starters had 20 rebounds. Mind blown. I mean, welcome back. And I actually think post-game, I'm sure you guys heard the sound with Mike Breen and Jamal Crawford, but even after that, there were still a notable amount of Minnesota Timberwolves fans in the building waiting to applaud, just wave at. Karl-Anthony Towns did a couple more signatures, but other than that, literally those people just stood and applauded him and cheered for him as he went off into the locker room, and that's when the bowl began to finally truly empty out. So just a really good night in terms of both composure and competition from Karl-Anthony Towns.
Hey, Monica, that second quarter was something there, obviously, with the score that it was, especially the 27, what was it, 27-5. But Towns struggled early. He had 3 turnovers. It looked like he was a little out of sorts. Went to the bench like he always does. Comes back in. He was a much different player. 19 points in that quarter. But just how about that quarter and his performance, but also the ball movement of that offense? And that's when you really see the potential of this team.
39 assists tonight. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Somewhere here. Yep, this is my fourth quarter only box score, so that was not. Yes, 39 assists. Look, first quarter, as interesting as it was in terms of Julius Randle having a 15-point first quarter and the Wolves almost seeming to punch first offensively, you end the quarter, and it was still a one-possession basketball game. And so I think you saw a team that has kind of been middle of the pack-ish, if that might be sort of complimentary in terms of their offense, versus a high-powered offense that was able to hang, even though I didn't think the first quarter had any real rhythm for either team, right? So second quarter, the Knicks begin to strike rhythm, and the Wolves go a little bit cold offensively, and the teams are able to play to their strengths, which is when the ball is moving with a certain snap, crackle, and pop, and the Knicks are shooting the 3-ball well. So that's what you saw tonight.
Monica, you're in the big monitor, so there you go.
Looking good.
Are you small somewhere? Can I pat you? Where are you? Are you in front of me? I'm just gonna pat your head.
The beauty of the virtual set is I've grown 6 inches. So no more short jokes.
Pat you.
Oh, okay.